Wanted to give a shout out to our sponsor today, Best Fiends.
Best Fiends.
Everyone's favorite game for mobile. Best Fiends is free to download, so we like that. Best Fiends has over 100 million downloads. That's a lot of downloads, and I can see why. You know, when you are traveling or you don't have Wi-Fi or the Wi-Fi is very iffy, like let's say when we went to San Diego a few weeks ago and my husband was driving and it was super boring because I don't want to talk to him. I played Best Fiends the whole way. There was lots of traffic and I was unbothered by it.
By the way, that actually happened.
Yeah.
And
there's so many levels.
And I just wanted to thank Best Fiends for that.
We didn't have to talk the whole way.
It made me uncomfortable.
Isn't that amazing?
To even consider the thought that we would have to talk the whole way, and because of Best Fiends, we didn't have to.
Solved. And in addition to that, it's like just so much fun to play because there are so many different levels and so many different characters to get to defeat different slugs, and they change it up every season. So you always have different worlds to travel to, and you always have different challenges to play. It literally never gets boring.
And it's free to download. Did we mention that?
It is free to download. So download the 5-star rated puzzle game Best Fiends free today on the App Store or Google Play. That's Friends without the R. Best Fiends.
Welcome back to Shit They Don't Tell You, a podcast about American people living American life.
No, it could be about non-American people too.
And we hope you're an American listener. If you're not, you are committing a crime.
Why?
Then you should submit yourself to your local government.
That's not true.
For prosecution. Thank you. And so today we would like to talk about a very important topic, which is, in fact, called Die Hard.
Oh, God. Okay.
Oh, wait.
I always get surprised.
What does that have to do with the deity?
I always get surprised by what the topic is going to be.
Well, yeah. So do you know about Die Hard? Have you seen Die Hard?
I know it's a Christmas movie.
It is indeed a Christmas movie. And, unfortunately, what you just said is kind of a meme now. Everyone says that. Kind of played out. Please stop.
I heard it from my husband.
Take it back and please apologize.
My husband played it out for me.
So that's why she's doing it.
Okay, so I know it stars Bruce Willis. And
appropriately, hey, nice job with his German. It's a German name, so...
I was actually channeling
difficult.
Nicki Minaj. Gonna something like Die Hard like Bruce Willis.
Like I said, it's a German name. It's Norwegian. It's very difficult to pronounce.
Is it?
Very well
is
done.
It? All right.
Very hard. And most people of my race can't even pronounce it. So well
your
done,
race?
I have to say.
Of white?
Yeah, the whites can't. They don't know.
Oh.
They call him Bruce Willis.
I don't know about
that. A lot of them do.
I don't think that's true.
Well, it's true. So it's unfortunate. But so Bruce Willis, he plays the role of John McClane in these films.
Okay.
And John McClane isn't every man. He's a hero. He's just a New York cop, okay, in the wrong place
Newark?
at the wrong time. Excuse me?
Did you say Newark cop?
He's not from Newark, New Jersey. He is from New York City, New York.
Oh.
Which is, by the way, a misnomer. That's
the whites just have a hard time pronouncing New York, I guess.
Well, no, they called a place New York, and they called a place Newark. So yeah, go figure. It's hard.
Do you think they did it on purpose?
Yeah, I do. Of course I do. They mean to make the whites feel stupid, which the whites do.
Stupid.
Yeah, Newark, New Jersey's not fair.
That's funny.
It sounds like New York, except that they're here. Hey, it's New York, New Jersey, and they're like, okay, I guess he's talking about Newark. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it reminds me of the Flight of the Conchords season 2, where they thought they were going to be performing in New York, but it was Newark.
See?
Yeah.
See? I didn't even see season 2. And I'm like, dude, it's a bitch.
See?
It's a bitch.
It's a bit.
Okay, so up until this point, and we talked about this with the Steven Seagal episode that I did recently, very famous. Everyone's talking about it. Basically, there wasn't a movie, or there wasn't a new genre where it's like one man versus a bunch of people, one man versus like a group of terrorists or any of that kind of shit.
No John Wicks allowed.
None of that. None of that. So truly, like Bruce Willis and John McClane was like one of a kind new thing.
Okay.
So the series comes out. It's a huge hit. They actually shoot it at Fox Studios. Yes. So there's a building, you can see it to this day, and it's the Fox building, and like it's what they call Nakatomi Towers in the movie, and that's exactly what they used. And so you can tell that they just got it. I think it was like within 2 years. They had just gotten this building. So the movie at its base, right, is about a guy who's trying to connect with his wife because his wife is being more successful than him.
Oh, okay.
And he doesn't know how to deal with it.
Oh, gotcha.
That's what the movie's actually about.
That's why you relate to it.
And that's why it's my favorite movie. Hey, fuck you, man.
Hey, fuck you, man.
Hey, fuck you, pal.
Stop being jealous of me.
Hey, fuck you, dude. Wait, how are you better than me? No, tell me. Explain to me.
Well, if you go to our chief competitor, Big Mood, go check out Big Mood.
Okay, let's hear it. Let's actually hear it. Go
All
for
right.
it.
You got time?
Yeah, I got time. I'm looking at it. Go ahead.
It's too mean. I can't.
Mark, cut all the Big Mood shit out, by the way. Okay, thank you.
My credit score is higher.
By what?
And
20 points?
you got really mad at it the other day.
I did, actually.
That my credit score was higher.
That's true, I did.
He's like, why does yours go up and not mine? I'm like, they're both going up, but yours was lower before.
It's a fact.
Yeah, it's a fact. Can't handle it. So it's basically you're exactly like John McClane and Die Hard. Okay, I get it. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm a New York cop, all right? And ho, 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 Merry Christmas, you know what I'm saying?
I don't know if that's the best thing to be right now, but
That's
okay.
what he says.
Go ahead.
Well, it's true. But we're talking about the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, John McClane, he goes to his wife's work party or whatever the fuck to reconnect with her. And he's staying with a friend called Cappy. It doesn't matter.
And he's been dead the whole time.
He's not dead the whole time. That's a spoiler. That's a huge spoiler.
How come he was fighting with his wife in that movie, too?
That's a huge spoiler. Don't do
Okay.
that.
Anyway.
Okay, so he goes to this party, and all of a sudden it gets overrun with terrorists just before he can try to start to resolve him and his wife's issues.
Because her credit score was way too high.
I don't believe that's why.
Okay.
But I understand it if it was. I would
Got
understand it.
Yeah.
If his wife's score was 60 points more, that's bullshit because you're both paying the same. You're both paying the same into the pot. That's bullshit.
No, it's just because Bruce Willis couldn't qualify for credit cards, so his wife had to put his name on her credit cards, and so hence she has more accounts open than him.
But it's because Bruce Willis had less credit lines open.
Right.
And his wife had more credit lines open.
Yes.
Because
she could qualify for them.
Right. And because Bruce Willis was mostly focused on crypto.
Because Bruce Willis didn't
He
pay
had
his
a lot of credit lines
credit
on
card
crypto.
for 3 years. He didn't pay for 3 months. He didn't pay
months.
his credit card in
Well,
4 months.
it's because Bruce Willis didn't pay his credit card for 3 months because when we first, him and
When Bruce
Holly
Willis,
first moved into their apartment in New York City,
Yeah.
Holly said, "Don't buy anything for months because it's going to be tight." And so Bruce Willis was like, "Cool," and then Bruce Willis ended up paying the bill later.
And then Bruce Willis's wife was like, "You stupid dumb fuck! I didn't mean don't pay your credit card bill." And so that's why they're having all these issues. And so he's trying to resolve them. The terrorists keep attacking. I get it. I haven't seen the movie, but I get it.
It's great. It's very relatable. It's very, very, very relatable. Okay, folks. So this bitch named Holly. I'm sorry. So Holly.
She sounds like a beautiful lady.
She's gorgeous. Yeah. So whole building gets taken over by terrorists. There's nowhere to go, and there's no help coming because nobody.
Nowhere to run to, baby.
No, this isn't an Eminem episode.
This isn't Eminem.
That was Eminem. Fuck off.
Nowhere to hide. That's not Eminem.
That's an Eminem song. Shut up and
It's some
stop
song
it.
from the 80s. I don't know.
Obviously, that's an Eminem thing. Fuck off.
It's not. But okay.
Okay, so now the movie progresses. Bruce Willis finds himself alone against all these terrorists in this building.
Okay.
And
But he knows karate.
well, no, he does not.
Okay.
He knows how to be a cop. He's a cop.
Gotcha.
That's all he knows.
Okay.
The fuck you get?
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, because like
He knows finishing moves from Mortal Kombat.
yeah,
What
well,
are
I
you
was
talking about?
Okay. One person against a bunch of bad guys.
Well,
They usually know karate. Is that how it always goes?
no, this is the first one.
Okay.
So what's cool about this though is it's really not him versus the terrorists. It's really not. It's him versus himself. It's him versus his own marriage.
Oh, fuck.
It's him versus his own hubris.
It's so meta.
His own hubris.
So deep.
That he brought into the situation because
Hubris.
he came in there going like, hey, it doesn't matter if my wife's successful. She needs me and all this shit.
Obfuscated.
And then by the end of it, he ends up realizing that like his wife has done really well without him, and she is a successful woman, but what she needs from him is for him to acknowledge that from her.
Oh,
and this has nothing to do with
got
sex.
it never does it?
It really doesn't. Yeah, thank you. So, and thank you for the nice segue.
Sex way.
And this is a movie about abstinence. Like, what do you want me to do? Okay, so yeah, beautifully, Die Hard is about a New York cop who cannot communicate with his wife, and he ends up communicating with himself during his darkest moments. He actually communicates with a fellow cop named Powell, who is played by, as we all know, Reginald Vell-Johnson, who is Carl Winslow on Family Matters.
Oh, I love him.
And he's fantastic. And he's
I was in a
basically
movie with him.
and so was I. And he is also very coolly John McClane's sounding board during all this. He's like almost like he makes it okay for guys to talk about shit. Which until this point, you have to remember the era is like you're talking about the 70s and 80s where it's like Stallone and Schwarzenegger.
When he's talking to John McClane, does he go 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3? What the hell is bothering me?
No, what is that? Is that the Wicked Witch? What is that? Is it
No, it's
Sleeping Beauty mirror on the wall?
It's an episode of Family Matters.
Oh, fuck off.
Carl Winslow can't control his temper. He always blows up at Urkel. And so he goes to therapy, and the therapist gives him an exercise that whenever he wants to blow up at Urkel, he has to go 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. What the heck is bothering me? And it's supposed to calm him down, and it's working in the beginning. But then Urkel does something really fucked up, and he's like 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. What the heck is bothering me? 3, 2, 1. Anyway, go ahead. So he doesn't do that.
I hated that story.
Okay.
I'm sad that you told it.
I'm sorry I told it too. I mean, I thought I was talking to a fellow Carl Winslow fan, but apparently not.
I love him, but however, the movie is really about how Carl Winslow makes it okay to talk about himself and about his feelings.
Okay, that's great.
There's a moment where John McClane is in the bathroom. This is my favorite scene in the whole movie, frankly,
Okay.
where his feet are all cut up because he's just in the gunfight. And basically the feet being cut up shows his vulnerability and how he can be like hurt.
Yeah.
And he's basically also conveying how he's hurt like emotionally, and he's telling his new friend like, hey buddy, like, yeah, I think I fucked up with my wife. I wish I could just tell her that I was just being too much of a prideful son of a bitch. And like, I'm happy she got her job, like in a way. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry I was such an asshole about it. I was just being too much of a little bitch about it. And, you know, Reginald Vell-Johnson's like, hey man, you'll get to tell her that yourself. Like, it's great. It's fantastic. You'll get out of there, right? And it doesn't seem like it. They really stacked the deck against this cat.
Why are the terrorists after John McClane?
They're not. They're after money in this building, which is like a huge spoiler, but it's fine.
Oh, okay.
But they're not real terrorists. They're money terrorists. They have no cause outside of money. They just want money.
I see.
Right. So, John McClane ends up rescuing his wife, saving the day, and stopping the bad guys. But then this movie does so well because at the time, like I said, you got Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Muscles all over his body.
Yes.
You got Stallone. Muscles all over his body. He's being Rambo. Schwarzenegger's being Terminator. You got Michael Keaton being Batman. And Michael Keaton is wearing a Batman body armor suit to give him muscles. Mm-hmm. So, like, if you're a hero, you better have muscles. You better show up. Mm-hmm. But Bruce Willis is just an every guy. He's just every dude. He's wearing a fucking white tank top.
He's a cap.
You know what I'm saying? And he's wearing dress pants. He's got no shoes on. He's got no socks on. He's just a guy against himself in this building against a bunch of terrorists. And so that's what propels this new movement of like heroes who are not just muscle guys or like you know, I work at the fucking Gold's Gym in in Venice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's about like who are you as a man versus the odds.
Right.
And so that kind of changes things. And so after that, you have like action heroes like Seagal, who's not got muscles on his neck and shoulders. He's like a regular-ish looking dude. And you have like other guys like there's people who look like people who are not just yoked out and they can just win against everything.
Mm-hmm.
And like so, Die Hard 2 comes out a couple years later. And by this point, there's already like.
But if you're a leading lady, you always have to be just a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, for sure.
You cannot be some
So
regular looking lady.
That has not been updated yet. That's all still happening. However, I will say in Die Hard 2, it's really not happening that much. Like Bonnie Bedelia, the woman who plays McClane's wife, is in the movie, but she's not like helpless that much. I mean, she's in a plane that's circling over her landing spot forever, but it's not the same way. Like she's actually like in the first movie, she's actually like a kind of a badass, and she punches people out and she doesn't give a fuck.
That's cool.
It's kind of like Sigourney Weaver in Ghostbusters, where she wasn't just like, you know, the gatekeeper versus the keymaster. She was like kind of a cool chick who like was like didn't take shit until she got taken over by demons at the end.
Right.
You know what I mean? Thank you. I think that's so relatable. It's such a good point. So, Die Hard 2 happens. Die Hard 2 is not as loved. It's kind of weird. John McClane is going through an airport, and it's like Dulles International Airport, which I have been to a couple times as a Virginia kid. And basically, he's like, "Hey, I think there's a situation going on that's kind of fucked up," and everyone's like, "Hey, aren't you the guy from Nakatomi Plaza?" Like that, like the first movie. They're all referencing the first movie the whole time.
Gotcha.
Saying like, "Hey, man, like, don't you like? Obviously, this is happening."
They have to, so they can like, because then we as fans go, "Oh, I remember that movie."
Exactly. But then McClane the whole time is going like, "Man, like, you can't just go somewhere on Christmas." You know what I mean? Like, it's like super self-aware, which is weird. But I get why they did that. But I'm also like, this is so on. So they do that movie. Also, the movie opens. I think one of my favorite openings for a movie ever is this movie where this cat, I can't remember his name, William something, but he opens with
Cat Williams?
No.
Oh, because you said Cat Williams.
No.
Okay.
He opens and he's naked in front of a television set, and he's like doing Tai Chi or some shit, but he's completely naked.
I could picture Cat Williams doing that.
It's not Cat Williams,
Okay.
but he's
Are
like
you sure?
he's doing some kind of movements where you're like, what the fuck's going on? And later on, McClane sees this cat and he's like, "Hey, I seen you on TV, haven't I?" And like they have like a whole thing, the whole movie. Obviously, it's like hero versus antagonist, like set up. I gotta say, Die Hard 2. Other than the set piece where McClane is in a cockpit of a jet fighter and he uses the ejection seat to get away from an explosion, the movie sucks. Okay. But, and it's called Die Hard 2 Die Harder, which is great.
That's pretty good.
It's a great movie title. Come on. Fuck off. Okay, so Die Hard 1 was directed by a very talented director named John McTiernan.
Okay.
Okay. Die Hard 2.
His name is very similar to the character's name.
McClane?
John McClane and John McTiernan or something?
I don't think it's very similar.
Okay.
Yeah, that's weird. But, so McTiernan directs the first one. The second one, not directed by McTiernan.
I see.
And now we get to Die Hard 3. So, in my opinion, and I gotta say, I think that Die Hard 1 is a perfect movie.
Oh, wow.
I don't think that you could write a better movie. I don't think that you could direct a perfect movie.
It's the only movie poster you have in this house.
Well, that's not true.
It's not true?
No.
What other movie poster you have?
What movie do you think that's to?
Die Hard?
Which one?
The Vengeance one?
Which is Die Hard 3.
Die Hard 3.
So,
Yeah.
Die Hard with a Vengeance is my favorite Die Hard movie.
Yeah, you named our Valentine's Day sketch after that, I feel like.
I did Valentine's Day with a Vengeance.
Yeah. That was like...
And that was our first time being on a pretend date.
He cuddled me.
So, Die Hard with a Vengeance is my favorite Die Hard movie. And I love Die Hard initially, like the first one. It's great. But Die Hard with a Vengeance introduced Samuel L. Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a...
Was this before Pulp Fiction?
This was before buddy cop movies.
Okay.
Like, this was like around the same time as Lethal Weapon.
Uh-huh.
But they just did it so well that it was better than Lethal Weapon even.
Mm. But before Pulp Fiction.
It was before Pulp Fiction.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it was around the same time, though.
Yeah.
Don't quote me.
Okay.
So, you have Samuel L. Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Opens the movie. He sees McClane, and McClane is on the street trying to do what Simon says. And that's what the movie's about. So, in the first movie, McClane kills Hans Gruber, which was the brother of... I think it's Peter Gruber, who is McClane's brother. Or I'm sorry, who is Hans Gruber's brother. But he is the character that is against McClane in the third movie.
Is he still married to the same wife?
McClane?
Yeah.
He is still technically married to Bonnie Bedelia. However, or I think her name's Bonnie Bedelia.
Mm. You said her name was Holly.
Well, no, her name's Holly, but
Okay.
the actress's name.
The
is
actress's
different.
name.
Right. So yeah, I think he is still married to her, but they're estranged
I see.
by the third movie. And so it's kind of this weird thing where like it opens with him hungover, and they're like, "Hey, McClane, we need you to come downtown."
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "What the fuck?" And like they're like, "I don't know." Simon Says, like you, and so it's a big movie. The movie is a game of Simon Says.
Okay.
And this movie is not based. It's not supposed to be a Die Hard movie. It was actually supposed to be an entirely different movie / novel, but it got adapted into a Die Hard movie because they were so stuck on Die Hard at that point. It had been so successful. They wanted a more complicated story. And so they picked this movie up. And
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. It's really cool. And so when we come back, we will discuss more about the Die Hard saga.
But first, purchase whatever we tell you to
Oh my God,
purchase.
please buy
and
it.
download whatever we tell you to download.
Buy it.
Because we love it. We will see you after the break.
And if we didn't tell you to buy gummy worms, it's a fraud. We're supposed to tell you to buy gummy worms.
No, we're not
But we got
sponsored.
stopped by the man.
We're not sponsored
Somebody
by gummy worms.
from the man said,
we're not
buy
sponsored.
gummy worms, but we mean it.
I said that.
Please buy
Don't
gummy
don't
worms
buy
with
gummy
all your
worms.
heart and soul, with
Don't
everything
buy
you
them.
got.
Or
If you buy one
Steve's
thing,
addicted to gummy worms,
gummy
and
worms.
it's not happening.
and we would really appreciate
Let it go.
that.
Let the dream die.
And thank you for your support for gummy worms. We'll be right back.
Wanted to give a shout out to our sponsor today, Best Fiends.
Best Fiends.
Everyone's favorite game for mobile. Best Fiends is free to download, so we like that. Best Fiends has over 100 million downloads. That's a lot of downloads, and I can see why. You know, when you are traveling or you don't have Wi-Fi or the Wi-Fi is very iffy, like let's say when we went to San Diego a few weeks ago and my husband was driving and it was super boring because I don't want to talk to him. I played Best Fiends the whole way. There was lots of traffic and I was unbothered by it.
By the way, that actually happened.
Yeah.
And
There's so many levels.
And I just wanted to thank Best Fiends for that.
We didn't have to talk the whole way.
It made me uncomfortable.
Isn't that amazing?
To even consider the thought that we would have to talk the whole way, and because of Best Fiends, we didn't have to.
Solved. And in addition to that, it's like just so much fun to play because there are so many different levels and so many different characters to get to defeat different slugs, and they change it up every season. So you always have different worlds to travel to, and you always have different challenges to play. It literally never gets boring.
And it's free to download. Did we mention that?
It is free to download. So download the 5-star rated puzzle game Best Fiends free today on the App Store or Google Play. That's Friends Without the R, Best Fiends.
Welcome back to Shit They
They don't tell you. They don't tell you it.
About podcast.
You didn't change the battery on that main cam.
I didn't need to because it's so ready to die.
It's yelling at me.
Just
Die
like
hard.
the movies. And so the movies are Die Hard, in fact. But
In Die Hard 3, his camera dies. Hard.
it doesn't happen. It has nothing to do with it. But
Only because he didn't have him back
in
then.
the third film, John McClane finally gets his revenge
On who? The terrorists?
No, against Hans Gruber's brother.
Oh.
So he throws Hans Gruber off the 35th story of Nakatomi Plaza. But then he also throws Hans Gruber's brother off.
Why is he so mad at Hans Gruber again?
Oh, because he was the terrorist in the first movie.
Oh, okay. That's what I said. The terrorist.
Yeah. So then, Peter Gruber was his brother, and then McClane's pissed at him, so he blows him up in a helicopter at the end of the movie.
Oh, that's spoilers. Jeez.
However, it's pretty cool because it actually seems like the bad guys got away with it, but then
don't spoil all this.
then,
Jeez.
it's super cool because a couple months later they didn't.
Stop
pretty
spoiling it. Now I never need to watch the movie.
And so then
I know what happens.
A couple years later, many years later actually. This takes probably 20 years to get off the ground.
If I took one of my eyelashes off, would you?
I'd freak out. Don't do that. That's so weird.
Okay.
Don't do it.
It's just bothering me.
Leave it in for my aesthetic pleasure. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
So the movie is called Live Free or Die Hard.
Okay.
This is the new Die Hard movie.
It's
Comes
4?
out 2000. Yeah, this is Die Hard 4. Comes out 2007.
Okay.
Or maybe 2008.
That was the year that I moved to LA.
Same. And so I remember moving to LA, working at my shitty high-rise job at STDTY, and I remember walking to Subway at lunch and seeing the billboard with Bruce Willis, and it's called A Good Day to Die Hard, and I was like, God damn, that's tight.
Yeah, I remember that.
Or it's called, Live Free or Die Hard. But I was like, that's fucking tight.
That's a good day to die hard too.
No, well, that was later. So, Live Free or Die Hard. It was teased for a while. The director's name was Len Weissman.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Willis would not do the movie for a long time unless he got someone on board who he thought could handle it. Len Weissman had done the Kate Beckinsale. What the fuck are you doing? You just ripped off your eyelash. That's disgusting. So
It's uncomfortable.
The Kate Beckinsale, whatever movies where she's a fucking vampire hunter or some
hot.
shit. I don't know. She's got a great ass. I don't know.
Dude, remember in Click?
Oh, it was incredible.
Her body.
Oh, come on. Forget about it.
Anyway, go ahead.
No, let's go on about that.
Yeah, I mean, we did a whole Adam Sandler thing about it.
We didn't do a whole one about her ass, though.
I mean, it was a good chunk of it. So go watch the Adam Sandler episode.
Damn right. So, yeah, so this movie gets made, and actually, the bad guy in this movie, he is kind of a funny dude. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No, I have never seen any of these movies.
I'm talking about, what the fuck is his name?
Christopher Walken?
Why are you putting it back in? Don't put your eyelash back in. That's so weird. Oh, please stop doing that.
Okay.
So, Timothy Olyphant plays a character
Elephant?
Elephant. Timothy Elephant.
I know him.
Okay,
got it.
Thank you. He plays a character named Thomas Gabriel. And he is the new Die Hard bad guy. Okay? So there's no connection to the Grubers. Second movie didn't have a connection to the Grubers, but first three had two connections with the Grubers, and so everyone thought maybe there's going to be a connection. There's not. So, in this movie, the John McClane's daughter gets kidnapped by Thomas Gabriel.
Okay.
Please.
I think it's just my ADHD.
You have a theory.
But because you say McClane and then you're saying Gruber, and it just makes me think MacGruber. Is this MacGruber about Die Hard?
It has nothing to do with that.
I didn't see MacGruber.
It has more to do with MacGyver.
That's what I thought.
Well,
but now but why did they have McClane and Grubers?
I don't know. Why do you think it's MacGyver, you idiot? It has to do with MacGyver.
Well, MacGyver, it seems more of those scenarios that it would happen.
But you think it's more McClane?
But now I'm like, well, you're saying McClane and Gruber all the time, and I'm like, MacGruber. Anyway, go ahead.
Holy shit. So, here we are. It's the Die Hard 4.
I've had 2 Moscow Mules.
You're doing good. Here we are. It's Die Hard 4.
Okay.
John McClane is a dad of 2.
Oh, so him and his wife did make up.
Well, they already had 2 kids, actually.
Oh.
So the kids are just older now. They didn't make up. The chick from the first 2 Die Hard movies is not... she wasn't even on screen in the 3rd one.
Okay.
Is not involved in the 4th one at all.
Okay.
So, it's McClane. He is still like a New York cop, but he's basically retired. And they basically make him come back to the job. And he gets paired with Justin Long.
Oh.
From the Kevin Smith
Yeah, I know him.
universe.
Yeah.
So, who else gets paired with John McClane? Kevin Smith.
Oh.
Yeah. So I guess they meet on this movie and they become buds. And I've met Kevin Smith.
Me too.
I
did a whole scene with him in a TV show called Speechless.
See, he's a super cool dude. You actually met him a couple years after I did.
Mm-hmm.
He's a cool dude. Love Kevin Smith. Had a great time. But I feel like Kevin Smith had a crash course in meeting Bruce Willis during this time period. And so he like had to, he's like, Bruce, you're the shit, all this shit. And so he's like, hey, man, would you ever do a movie with me and all this shit? So he actually ends up doing a movie called Cop Out with Kevin Smith directing, Tracy Morgan co-starring, and Bruce Willis as the lead.
Okay.
And it's a huge failure.
I was going to say I've never heard of this movie.
Exactly, Cop Out.
But
it was like 2008.
But like Tracy Morgan and Bruce Willis, that kind of sounds fun.
Right, but Bruce Willis apparently just showed up to set. He was like, fuck you at everything they gave him to do.
Really?
He didn't care.
Whoa.
He just showed up. He wouldn't take direction. And he would only really be Bruce Willis if there was somebody else who was like of his stature in the scene.
Oh, shit.
He was going through something. Who knows?
Okay.
He has since apologized to Kevin Smith. Very recently, though. I have to say it took like 12 years.
Oh, shit.
But Kevin Smith famously started shitting all over Bruce Willis after this movie came out.
Fuck.
Yeah. Which is why I love Kevin Smith back then.
Yeah.
Kevin Smith back then would have fucking gone in on this guy. Kevin Smith now would be paid by Disney and he'd be like, oh, I'm so glad that Bruce Willis was able to make this movie. This is so sick.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different. He's a different dude, unfortunately. I love Kevin Smith. I really do. I have a lot of love for the guy. But there's something going on there that's a little bit like he's a stooge for those cats. That disappoints me as a fan. And so Live Free or Die Hard comes out. It's successful. But I have to say the reviews are actually pretty generous. But there's a lot still to be desired about a Die Hard movie. I have to say personally, I enjoyed this because I'm a Die Hard whore. And I just liked seeing him again.
You're a Die Hard fan?
I'm a big fan. I liked seeing him again. But that's where this whole series goes fucking tits up.
Okay.
And that's called a little movie called A Good Day to Die Hard.
Okay.
Okay. So that movie, it doesn't even have nearly the budget of any other Die Hard movie to date.
Let me see.
It is starring Jai Courtney.
I don't know.
Jai Courtney basically is who you get when you want someone to play someone, but then they turn it down, and then Jai Courtney steps up.
I see.
He's also, I'm sorry, I should have mentioned this earlier, a.k.a. Captain Boomerang in the Suicide Squad.
Oh.
Exactly. So you got Captain Boomerang. He's available. Bruce Willis, John McClane is in Russia for some reason at the beginning of this movie. And he just runs into his son. And he's like, hey, what the fuck you doing, Jack? Like, what are you doing here? And then Jack's like, Dad, what the fuck are you doing here? And then John McClane gets taken on this like whole fucking ride. Like an amusement park. Which, to be fair to Bruce Willis, he feels like being John McClane is like an amusement park ride anyway. It's like a ride. So you get on the ride and it takes you to all these different places. Which if you saw any Die Hard movie, including Die Hard 3, there's literally a part in Die Hard 3 where he gets spouted through the ground. There's like a geyser. And then one of the other lead characters is Samuel L. Jackson's like, I see McClane. And they drive up to him. So it's like,
what?
It's not exactly.
He goes out of the ground?
Out of the ground, yeah. From a water geyser.
What the fuck?
It's not great. So that's what I mean. The standards have been lowered.
Okay.
So by the third one, And if you don't know what yippee-ki-yay motherfucker is, yippee-ki-yay motherfucker is what John McClane says at the end of every Die Hard movie before he like executes the main bad guy. And he's actually like Bruce Willis got thrown out of a couple Laker games because he yelled yippee-ki-yay motherfucker too loud.
Is that real?
Yeah, it's real. Because he's just Bruce Willis, but he's like, I have a catchphrase.
Yeah.
And people love it. He's like, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. And people are like, hey, you got to leave, man. That's fucked up. There's kids around here and little shit. So at the first end of the first movie, he kills Hans Gruber, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker, beforehand. Second movie, he blows up a helicopter, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker, beforehand. Or, I'm sorry. That's not what happens. I don't remember what happens in the second movie, at the end of the second movie. I expunged it from my memory for my own personal mental health, and I hope that's okay. Third movie, he blows a guy up in a helicopter. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Fourth movie, he yippee-ki-yay motherfuckers while Timothy Olyphant tries to shoot him, but Bruce Willis grabs his gun and shoots himself and Timothy Olyphant through his own shoulder.
What the
and kills Timothy Olyphant.
That's tight.
But beforehand he says yippee-ki-yay motherfucker, but he doesn't say motherfucker because
why did he have to go
PG-13.
through his shoulder?
Well,
why couldn't he just scoot over his shoulder?
Timothy Olyphant has like his back to him, so he's holding him.
Oh.
And so McClane is like, and then Timothy Olyphant's like, always in the wrong place at the wrong time, huh? And then he's like, you know what should go on your tombstone? Always in the wrong place at the wrong time. And then McClane's like, oh, I think it should be yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. And then he shoots himself through
Timothy that's kind of badass.
Shoulder.
Yeah.
It's pretty badass. In the fourth movie,
how does he know he's not going to hit his heart or?
You know what I mean? Good luck, huh?
Okay.
McClane goes, the things we do for our kids. He gets out of a Hind-D Russian helicopter. He jumps out of it and he crashes it into the bad guys. And he says, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker, during it. And like, by the way, it's like the worst shot one. It's like horrible. Looks like it cost them what it cost, which is like, I want to say it cost them $100 million to make this movie, but it looks like $38 million for some reason. It looks like shit. Okay. They shot that one at night for a reason because the special effects were ass. Not a good movie.
Mm.
So that one is the most recent Die Hard movie. That was 10 years ago. That was 2014. You know what I mean? Now we're in a world where this new movie called McClane just got canceled by a guy named Lorenzo de Bonaventura, who I met years ago. I was doing, a couple of movies, and I met with Lorenzo de Bonaventura. He was coming off the success of the Transformers movies. I met him at Paramount with my buddy Mikey Gallagher, and he is just down. He doesn't commit to anything. He's just down. And so I could tell why Lorenzo de Bonaventura wanted to make this new Die Hard movie, which is called McClane, which was like a new Die Hard movie before the first Die Hard movie, a prequel, but it has Bruce Willis like almost doing interstitials where he's like telling you about what he went through at the time, and everyone watching it is like, okay, but like who gives a shit? Like, what, your traffic stop, a routine traffic stop? What, you rode a guy up, but then like he got away, and you had like a guy who he jaywalked, and then like he said like, I doubt you'll show up in court, but then you show up in court. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They just dropped it.
I see.
Thankfully. But like before then, it was in development for 2 fucking years.
So it was just like him being a cop.
Him being a cop before the first Die Hard movie.
I see.
So they would get a younger actor to portray McClane during those moments. But then they would have McClane like almost like narrating the whole thing. It was weird.
That's really weird.
Weird. So let's talk about the true return of John McClane. Finally, we can get there. Oh, I've waited this whole time. Oh,
we all have. We're just like, when is the true return?
Okay, so do you know what die-hard car batteries are?
No. They die hard. It sounds like the battery's gonna die.
Somebody told you about it. Did somebody cheat and tell you about this before we got on the show?
No.
I don't appreciate that if you did. Hey, if you did that, fuck you, because I'm trying to get Nikki in here cold. Okay, so Rumor Willis, who is appropriately named for the situation.
She started a rumor?
I don't get it.
Okay.
Her name is Rumor Willis.
Okay.
She's Bruce Willis's daughter.
Yes, I know.
With Demi Moore.
I get it. Yeah.
She tells the world via Twitter, hey, guess what? Die Hard's back. And the whole world's like, what are you talking about? See?
Mm-hmm. I'm going to take off my other eyelash.
You're disgusting. I hope Mark cuts all this.
Okay, go ahead.
So then, Die Hard does indeed come back. This is about 9 months ago. Die Hard comes back in the Christmas season. And he's doing a commercial for Die Hard car batteries. With Argyle from the first Die Hard movie. And they're buds again. It's fun. It's really fun. Argyle's like probably 57 now. Bruce Willis is like 71. We had a great time.
Is Argyle Samuel Jackson?
No, Argyle is the guy from the first movie who was his limo driver.
Oh, shit.
So there you go. And that's it.
All right.
That's the end of it.
Well, all our cameras are dead except for yours.
Yeah.
And I think this is a great
they couldn't
time
handle your eyelash removal.
to wrap up.
They said, fuck this, I quit. And you know what? We believe in the unionization of automatic cameras.
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
are huge supporters of it, and you guys should donate to that
AI
cause.
cameras.
Please donate to that cause. We
You know
appreciate
what?
that.
Me too. Fuck those eyelashes. They were bothering me.
I like them a lot, actually.
And
But
now I'm naked-eyed.
Okay,
and no one
horrible.
should see it. So I'm glad the camera's cut out.
It's on me right now.
And
I am
thank you
too.
for hosting this episode, Steve. But I think it's time for it to die hard. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
Wait, are you talking about Die Hard, the batteries, or are you talking about it should die hard like it should stop?
Well, the batteries did die
Because I
hard
can
on the
replace
camera.
the batteries, and I'm happy to.
Do you want to?
You just let me know.
I don't know how much more you have.
You let me know. I'm in. I'm so in.
I don't know how to respond to this.
We're going to go more, guys. Here we go. So we'll see you guys in the next one.
All right, subscribe and rate us on iTunes. Thank you. And we'll see you next time. Should they not tell you?
Hey, bye.
And bye.
Hey, if you have any questions for the show, hit us up. Podcast at Nikki Limo. Also, we have a Patreon at Sticky Studios.
Patreon.com/sticky.
Yep. And check it out. We do a cool thing called Crypto Corner there every week where I take you through all my crypto moves.
All right.
I just sold my car for crypto, by the way.
We also do live
sick.
streams and extra bonus episodes, which they don't tell you, but it's okay. It's all about Crypto Corner now, I guess.
And
Go
we'll
ahead.
see you guys next time.
Bye.